The Galactic Coalition was exhausted. Its citizens, stretched thin by years of war, sought solace in the fragile peace they had earned. But Kale Rin, once a celebrated tactician of the Coalition's fleet, couldn't rest. Troubling reports had reached him. Unusual energy surges in uncharted space, colonies disappearing without a trace, and the chilling whispers of an enemy far worse than the Varric Dominion. Kale gathered his old crew, each reluctant but loyal to the bond they had forged in battle. Dral Kor, the engineer with hands that could turn scrap into miracles, grumbled about leaving his shipyard. Nissa Terrell, a fearless pilot who had traded the cockpit for a quiet life, hesitated but ultimately joined. Rinna Vel, a shadowy operative known for her icy precision, resurfaced from her self-imposed exile. Together, they set out aboard the Resolute *, a battered stealth frigate, toward the unknown. Their first stop was a mining colony, eerily silent despite the usual bustle expected of such operations. The team discovered evidence of a struggle: overturned machinery, burn marks, and discarded personal items. Yet there were no bodies. Dral's analysis revealed faint traces of an energy signature that was neither Varric nor Coalition. It pulsed with an alien rhythm, faintly malevolent, and seemed to grow stronger the deeper they delved into the colony's abandoned caverns. Nissa's sharp instincts saved them when the source of the energy revealed itself, a tendril-like construct that moved with unnatural fluidity. It lashed out, absorbing the light around it, forcing the team into a desperate retreat. The encounter left no doubt. This was a new threat, and it was spreading. Pushing further into uncharted space, the crew discovered a derelict vessel unlike anything in known records. Its design was ancient yet advanced, its corridors lined with pulsating, organic cables that seemed to breathe. Inside, the ship's horrifying secret was revealed. The Varric had been assimilated into a grotesque hive of living machinery, their biological components fused with the ship itself. The crew realized they were facing an enemy that consumed not only matter but also intelligence, adapting and evolving with each conquest. The team barely escaped with their lives, but not before recovering critical data from the ship's systems. The data pointed to a pattern, a deliberate expansion of the new enemy toward core Coalition worlds. They returned to Coalition space, desperate to warn the leadership, only to face skepticism. The scars of the Varric War were still fresh, and few were willing to believe in another existential threat so soon. Kale refused to stand down. He and his crew took their warning to independent factions and fringe colonies, rallying those willing to fight. The Resolute became a symbol of resistance, a lifeline for those on the edges of hope. The turning point came on the barren world of Size 9, where the resistance lured the enemy into a carefully orchestrated trap. Dral had developed a prototype weapon capable of disrupting the enemy's energy-based biology. The battle was grueling, with the enemy adapting rapidly to every tactic. Nissa's fearless flying and Rinna's precision strikes gave the resistance the edge they needed to deploy the weapon. The blast severed the enemy's neural network, rendering them inert. Though the victory was decisive, the cost was high. Many of Kale's allies fell in the battle, and the Resolute barely escaped the collapsing battlefield. The data gathered during the fight confirmed their worst fears. This enemy was part of a much larger entity, one that had already consumed countless civilizations beyond the Coalition's borders. The crew returned to Coalition space with evidence that could no longer be ignored. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, declaring a united front against the new threat. Kale's team, battered but undeterred, became the nucleus of the Coalition's efforts to adapt to the evolving war. Even as the galaxy prepared for the challenges ahead, Kale found solace in the resilience of those who stood beside him. They had faced the Varric and prevailed. Now, with the same courage and determination, they would confront this new enemy. The fight was far from over, but the galaxy had learned that even in its darkest moments, hope could shine brighter than any star. The remnants of the Varric Dominion still lingered across the galaxy, a fragmented but dangerous reminder of their once overwhelming power. Despite the destruction of their hive-mind nexus, small clusters of drones continued to wreak havoc, acting on deeply embedded survival protocols. The Galactic Coalition, while victorious, faced an uncertain future. They now had the unenviable task of rebuilding shattered worlds and eliminating the scattered remnants of the Varric. Kale Rin, though celebrated as a hero, found himself restless. The cheers and adulation of liberated worlds felt hollow in the face of the overwhelming losses. Billions of lives had been lost in the decades-long war, and the galaxy was irrevocably changed. Seeking solace, Kale retreated to a remote colony on the fringes of Coalition space. Yet peace was elusive. Strange reports began to trickle in from isolated systems. Entire settlements disappearing without a trace, peculiar energy readings, and whispers of a new Varrock resurgence. Coalition intelligence dismissed these as exaggerations, the product of paranoia and trauma. But Kale couldn't ignore the pattern. Driven by his instincts, he contacted the surviving members of his strike team. Dral Kor was now the chief engineer of a massive orbital shipyard, working tirelessly to rebuild the Coalition's fleet. Nissa Tarrell had retired to her homeworld, mentoring young pilots. Rinnavel had returned to her clandestine roots, her whereabouts unknown. Kale's call to action was met with varying degrees of reluctance. "The war is over, Kale," Dral grumbled over the hololink. "We've earned our rest." "But it's not over," Kale argued. "The Varrock are still out there, and they are adapting again. If we wait, they'll strike when we're at our weakest." Reluctantly, his old allies agreed to join him. The team reunited aboard a refurbished stealth frigate, the *Resolute. Kale briefed them on their mission: investigate the disappearances and uncover the truth behind the rumors. Their journey took them to the edge of the known galaxy, to the haunting ruins of a colony world once bustling with life. The team found evidence of a battle, scorch marks, collapsed structures, and scattered belongings, but no bodies. It was as if the colonists had simply vanished. Dral analyzed the residual energy signatures, his expression darkening. This isn't just Varrock tech. It's something else. Something worse. Their investigation led them deeper into uncharted space, to an ancient derelict vessel drifting near a dying star. The ship was massive, its design unlike anything in the Coalition's archives. Its corridors were filled with cryptic symbols, pulsating with a faint, ominous glow. Inside, they discovered a horrifying truth. The Varrock remnants had encountered a new enemy, a being of pure energy that assimilated technology and biology alike. The derelict vessel was a battlefield, its crew and Varrock drones fused into grotesque, living machinery. Kale's team barely escaped the ship with their lives, pursued by shadowy, serpentine forms that seemed to materialize from the darkness. "This is worse than we feared," Rinna muttered, her usually calm demeanor shaken. The Varrock weren't just adapting, they were being hunted. The realization hit Kale like a thunderbolt. The Coalition's victory over the Varrock had inadvertently unleashed a greater threat. The energy beings, drawn by the chaos, were now spreading across the galaxy. Returning to Coalition space, the team tried to warn the leadership, but their claims were met with skepticism. "We've just emerged from a war," the council leader said. "We cannot afford to chase shadows." Undeterred, Kale and his team took matters into their own hands. They began rallying survivors from across the galaxy, scientists, warriors, and explorers willing to face this new enemy. The *Resolute* became the flagship of a fledgling resistance, a beacon of hope in a galaxy teetering on the edge of another apocalypse. As the energy beings advanced, consuming everything in their path, Kale's resistance fought back with a combination of ingenuity and determination. They discovered that the beings could be disrupted by specific frequencies of light, creating weapons that turned their own energy against them. The final confrontation took place on the barren moon of a gas giant, where the resistance lured the largest concentration of the beings into a trap. The battle was fierce, pushing Kale and his team to their limits. In a desperate gambit, they unleashed a massive energy pulse from the *Resolute*, severing the beings' connection to their power source. The galaxy watched as the shadow of the new enemy receded. Though the victory came at a tremendous cost, it proved once again that the Coalition, united and resourceful, could overcome even the most insurmountable odds. Kale Rin, battered but unbroken, looked to the stars. He knew peace was fragile, but he also knew the resilience of those who called the galaxy home. They would endure. They would rebuild. And they would be ready for whatever came next. The Galactic Coalition stood at the precipice of annihilation. The mighty fleets of allied species, once thought invincible, lay in disarray across the stars. Their greatest weapons, devised by the finest minds across the Coalition, had failed against the relentless forces of the Varrock Dominion. The Varrock were unlike any foe the galaxy had faced, a hive-mind species with an insatiable hunger for control, adapting to every tactic and technology deployed against them. For decades, the Coalition resisted, fighting valiantly. Entire planets became battlefields, their skies darkened by endless warships. Yet, the Varrock advanced inexorably, assimilating everything in their path. The Coalition's remaining leaders gathered in secret on a hidden moon, despair etched across their faces as they contemplated surrender. As the discussions spiraled into arguments, a lone voice interrupted. General Kale Rin, a retired tactician from Earth, stepped forward. Though humanity was one of the youngest members of the coalition, Kale had earned respect for his unconventional methods and unyielding spirit. His gray eyes burned with determination as he addressed the room. "Defeat is a choice," Kale said. "The Varrock are powerful, but they are not invincible. We've been fighting on their terms. It's time we remember what makes us different, what makes us unpredictable." The other leaders scoffed. The coalition's forces were depleted, their people weary. How could hope be rekindled in such darkness? Kale unveiled his plan. A small, specialized strike force would infiltrate the heart of the Varrock hive-mind, targeting their central nexus. It was a desperate gamble, relying on stealth, sabotage, and the element of surprise, tactics the Varrock could not easily adapt to. Despite the skepticism, the plan was approved. Kale's resolve inspired a spark of hope in the room. The strike team was assembled from the coalition's finest: Rinnavel, an Andarian operative with unmatched stealth abilities; Dralkor, a towering Brakari engineer known for his ingenuity; and Nissa Tarrell, a Xandrian pilot whose skills in navigating hostile territories were legendary. Leading them was Kale himself, determined to see his plan through. Their journey to the Varrock's core territory was fraught with peril. They evaded countless patrols, relying on Nissa's precision and Rinna's stealth expertise. Dral's engineering brilliance kept their outdated vessel operational, while Kale's leadership held the team together during moments of doubt. When they finally reached the Varrock Nexus, a colossal structure orbiting a dying star, they were awestruck by its scale. The hive-mind pulsated with energy, its vast neural networks connecting billions of Varrock drones. Kale's team moved swiftly, planting destabilizing charges at critical points within the structure. But the Varrock were not entirely unaware. The hive-mind sensed the disturbance, sending drones to intercept the intruders. The team fought valiantly, each member using their unique skills to hold off the relentless assault. Rinna's agility, Dral's brute strength, and Nissa's quick thinking bought Kale enough time to execute the final phase of their plan. Kale uploaded a virus into the Nexus, one designed to overload the hive-mind's neural pathways. As the virus spread, the Varrock drones faltered, their synchronization disrupted. The once cohesive swarm descended into chaos. The strike team barely escaped as the Nexus erupted in a blinding explosion. The shockwave rippled across the Varrock's territory, severing their hive-mind connections. Isolated and disoriented, the Varrock were no longer an unstoppable force. The coalition seized the opportunity to launch a counteroffensive, reclaiming lost territories and driving the Varrock back. Though the battle was won, the cost was immense. Many lives had been sacrificed, and entire worlds lay in ruins. Yet, hope had been restored. The coalition emerged stronger, united by their shared resilience. Kale Rin and his team became legends, their story a testament to the power of determination and ingenuity. Across the galaxy, statues were erected in their honor, and their names were etched into the annals of history. The Varrock threat had been neutralized, but the coalition knew that peace would not last forever. They vowed to remain vigilant, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy would throw their way. For in the darkest moments, they had learned that hope could triumph against even the greatest odds.